What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Shit Show. Today we are working on a carrier stealth unit. This is a trailer style unit. We've already started coming apart with it, but our initial call out here was that the clutch wasn't working on the actual compressor side. All the belts were sitting still, etc. So the first thing I did was I pulled the belt off the compressor, just adjusted the idler on it, and pulled the belt, and all that turned over freely. Now I went to the gearbox, pulled the top belt off, and the gearbox spin freely. So let me show you the gearbox. So if you're looking here at the unit, this is the compressor side. All right, of course the engine side. Now this is the clutch that's down here on the bottom on the engine. Now all this was spinning freely when I took the adjustment off the idler. I could spin all of it freely. Now up here, the gearbox was spinning freely as well. I've got the belt tight and it's hooked to the clutch right now, so it don't really want to spin. But all of it was spinning freely as well. So I got up here to the top, and the actual fan clutch is what's locked up on it. So with it being locked up, it was locking all the belts up. This one was slipping, and of course the unit will not run. So we're going to rebuild a fan clutch today. Now here's the new fan clutch. I've yet to get the old one off. I have the fan disassembled for it. And the way you disassemble the fan off of it is it's got 3 bolts that go right here. When you pull those 3 bolts out, they're 13 millimeter. All right, the fan will come off, hold on to it, and just put it inside the housing. All right, be careful because it is metal and you don't want to break the condenser out there. So just lay it off into the housing. Clean it out. It's going to have a bunch of dust on it, clutch dust on it. So clean that out really good, etc., etc. Now here's how this thing goes together, just like this. There is a lock nut, and it comes with a new one and all that good stuff that goes through all this, and most of that's on the inside. But right now we want to get this piece off right here. All right, it's still attached up there. So whenever your bolts through it, it's left-hand thread, so you want to remember that. All right, this thing is going to spin. All right, so you got to grab something in there. Some people make a tool for it that fits in here and locks it. All right, so that way you can turn the bolt. Unfortunately, I don't have one. So you're gonna wanna find something to kind of jab down in there and hold this thing still where you can break that bolt loose. Once you get that out, you're gonna turn and pry that thing out. Once you get it off, then you're gonna come to this nut right here. All right, I actually do have the tool for this. If you don't have the tool for this, it's gonna make it extremely hard to take off and put on. There's a part number for it right here. You can order that directly from carrier. All right, and that's 070030302. So you're going to want to have that. It's like a spanner nut, so that you can get this clutch off. Now, it's all melted and stuff up here, so once we get this thing off, we're going to have to cut the rest of it off in order to get the new one on it. So you want to be careful with that. Once I get up there and get this thing off, we'll shoot some more video. All right, guys. So went ahead and removed the fan. The way I did that is I just took the top bolts out of the shroud so I could pull it up. And as you remember, there's 3 bolts through the back side of it that hold that sucker on there. So once you take them 3 bolts out, the fan will come out. Then you can unloosen the shroud and pull that thing right out. Now there's a wheel right here. All right, that's the inner side of the fan hub, and that thing spins. All right, there's a bolt. This bolt right here locks it in place. So if you put a wrench on that or whatever and try and turn that out, it's not going to come out. So the way I do it, it's got little tabs on it, is I take a lady's foot and I stick it against the muffler, and then I pry against it, and I'm able to pull it out. Now once you get the bolt out, you got to actually pull that piece out. All right, and it's threaded for a bolt. So I stick a bolt in it, and then again, it's going to turn just like it is now. All right, so I'm going to stick that pry bar up against it and kind of wedge it and turn that bolt. Now you want to be careful, because as you start to turn that thing, it'll start to come out. When it comes out, you want to get your hands down there. There's a key that goes inside that thing. All right, you can only buy that with the fan hub unless you go somewhere else to try and get them to cut a key for it. But pay attention, make sure you grab the key, all right, when it comes out. All right, you turn that thing, and then once you get it a little bit out, it's cone shaped. So once you get it out a little bit, it should pop right on out of there. Once we get that out, we'll get that spanner wrench and knock that nut loose. They can work on taking the pulley off. All right, as you can see, I pulled this clutch disc out. It's all laid up. Just stuck the bolt in it. Once I locked it down, turned it a couple times, the sucker popped right out. Now the key didn't come out with it. The key's actually stuck in there, so you want to be careful so you can get that key so we can reuse it on the next one. But we're going to try and get the fan hub loose itself. That's all we got to get off. It's got a bearing on it. They're usually seized to the pulley. So once we get that thing off, we'll be able to put the new one on. All right, guys, got a little ahead of myself here, but I did get it off. I've started going together back with the new one, and I was like, oh, well, need to stop. So anyways, once on the actual pulley itself, I got the spanner nut off. Once I got it off, this thing's supposed to come off, all right, but it's not going to, all right. These are the bearing drives. There's another one somewhere. There's two of them. Here goes the other one. All right, as you can see, this thing was pretty beat up. So here's a spacer. All right, so what I did was I just beat the hell out of this thing. There's no real way to take it off. You need to be careful with the condenser and not hit it, because if you do, then you're gonna have a bigger problem. But I take the fan shroud out, and I'm able to kind of beat on this thing. You'll see I beat the hell out of it. You're not saving anything here, so don't worry about it. Beat that sucker off. So I beat the bearing packs apart, and you can see this one's still in there. The races are still in there. I beat that thing off. Once I got it off, the actual magnetic hub was still on. The races were stuck on the pulley, so I just kept beating all the way around it in a circular motion and then spinning it until I was able to get the whole thing off. That took a little bit. That's the hardest part. All right, and you can kind of see this thing came apart. It beat it up pretty bad. You can actually cut these right here, but this one kind of seemed like it was going to come off, so I didn't. You can cut these tack welds out, and then you could take that actual drive off itself and have access to the actual bearings itself and cut them off. But I was able to beat this thing off. So when you're going back together with it, when you put the magnetic sleeve back on, all right, it goes to the top. The actual cable goes to the bottom. So make sure you do that. All right, and then there's a spacer that goes on before you actually put the pulley on. So the new one's already on there, so throw the spacer in there, and then you throw the hub drive on itself. Once you get it on, I've already put the spanner nut on it. You're gonna put it on, we're gonna torque that down. Now all these packages come with all the instructions, so you'll be able to see exactly how this thing goes together. Torque specs, the spanner nuts, 80 to 85 foot-pounds, the whole 9 yards. It's left-hand thread, so pay attention to that. So go ahead and torque that down, and then once you get it done, we'll put the bolt in, then put the hub on, and then put the belt on and go back together with it. So basically, it's kind of cut and dry once you get the thing off. So we're going back together with it. Once I get it together, I'll shoot another quick video, and then we'll go from there. All right, spanner nuts on, that's torqued down. Now next process is we're gonna put the outside clutch piece on. So whenever you do this, like I said, pay attention to that actual key. The key did not come out of the fan hub on this one, so I got lucky, so I can slide this sucker back in. But you wanna make sure that that key, if it comes out, you need to hold on to it, because you can only get that key with a new fan hub. They don't sell it separately for some dumb reason, or you can go to a hardware store and have one, get one. But anyways, slide that sucker back on. Remember, it's left-hand thread. You're gonna stick this bolt back through it. Then you gotta lock this down in order to torque it. Pay attention to your torque specs on your paperwork. And then once we get that done, we can hook everything else back up, put the belt on it, plug everything up, and we should be good to go. All right, guys, she's all done and up and running. Once I got the fan and all that stuff bolted back in, just threw the belt back on it, she fired right up and she's good to go.